What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. PokerVIP.com, Ming the Merciless 93. We are going to fold Deuce 9 offsuit. And we're going to go ahead and check in the big blind with our Ace 6 offsuit. And it looks like we got some holiday activity going on here. This is a very festive table we're looking at with the Christmassy stuff everywhere. A little peppermint of this, a little peppermint of that. Couple of what are these little green rails? Kind of nice, not bad. Little snowflake action. Nice red carpet. Happy holidays to everybody out there. We're going to talk a little bit about this and that and every other thing today. Want to kind of talk a little bit about balance versus exploitative play. And I think that it's important for you to have the ability to play in a balanced manner and also in an exploitative manner. It's good to know both of those strategies. But the question often gets asked, when do I play balanced? When do I play exploitative? And the answer is in relation to what your opponent's strategy is. So if your opponent's strategy is to just play balanced poker, you should try to play balanced poker because chances are he's not going to be getting too out of line with his bluffing frequencies or his value betting frequencies. And, you know, vice versa. If your opponent is going bananas doing one thing or the other, bluffing way too much, then clearly we have to adjust to try to exploit that. So you want to ask yourself, what is my opponent's strategy? We have an interesting spot here. And we have a raise to 20 cents, and we have a call and a call. I think I'm going to call here, which is not something I would normally do. In fact, I just made a video talking about not calling in this exact spot. However, I think that this is one of the cases where if we're going to flat call in the small blind, this makes some sense to do it. We have a min raise under the gun, and then we have two other flat callers. So we have a very small raise, and then we have multi-way action. So this could be a spot where we could have squeezed pre-flop and just made it like $1.50, but I kind of prefer taking the implied odds route. And obviously in the big blind, we would certainly flat call as well. This is one of those spots where, you know, it's very, very rarely are we going to find scenarios to flatten the small blind. This one makes some sense from an implied odds perspective. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be flat calling here. If it was a bigger raise and it was less people, then we would just be 3-betting or folding. As it stands, we don't have much going on here, so we'll just get out of the way. Who knows what that means for that guy when he bets 55 cents into $1 into everybody and their brother. But yeah, if you want to know when to play balanced or when to play exploitative, think about what your opponent's strategy is, and then how do you counter that, or how do you do the best? What's the best way for you to interact against that strategy? Here we're facing a min raise. We're going to flat call in the big blind with 10-jack offsuit. We completely brick the flop. Don't really want this in our check call range. Don't really want this in our check raise range. Therefore, it's going to go in our check fold range. 6-9 offsuit, going to be a folding combination as well. I don't know what's going on this table. This dude's disconnected. Elvis has left the building. The king has left the building. It's not really that funny. I mean, it's kind of maybe. Anyway. Boy, how long do they give him on this? I mean, you might as well just take a damn nap or something, man. Get you a room. Get you a room at a hotel. Maybe a nice warm massage. 7-4 offsuit, not going to be raising this on the button. We don't really want this in our 3-bet range. We definitely don't want it in our flat calling range, so we're just going to go ahead and fold the A6 offsuit. Against Bad Bones. Not much going on over here in these boards. We have a 32-cent bet on table 2. Cap 1 decides. What's up, Cap? What you got, man? He's going to check and call. 6 on the turn of diamonds. Going to complete a bunch of straights. Going to complete the flush. Going to be a lot of checking going on. And if I were Cap, you could consider overbetting this river. Very difficult for your opponent to call with something like Queen 10 offsuit in this spot. Unless he just doesn't give a rat's ass. In which case he might just call you and you know that that's not the guy that you want to choose those sizings against. That's not a guy that you got much fold equity against, so you might decide to increase your value bet size when your opponent's calling way too much and with hands that he shouldn't. That would be a good way for you to take advantage of that. A wide calling range for sure. I'm going to raise it up with King 10 of clubs. And we got a caller from the big blind. Then we flop King 4-4. I'm fine with a mixed strategy here. We're just going to go ahead and half pot continuation bet this time. He does have more 4s than we do. Good player's going to check raise you here quite a bit. If we get check raise, it's a pretty dicey spot. Since our value range here will include some 4x combos, and his value range definitely has 4x and doesn't have as many kings. So we're pretty much roasted against his value range, which will primarily be 4x combos. Maybe if he's a psychopath, he'll have something like king jack or king queen. But for the most part, no, we're just getting roasted. So we'd have to basically fold. If you want to look at poker from a very macro perspective, you can say that everything revolves around bluffing frequencies. Because once you have a good handle on value bets, and whether you're behind or whether you're ahead, everything else becomes bluffing, because bluffing is what affects equity the most. So if I know that my opponent's bluffing 20 fucking times for every one value bet he has on that king 4-4 board, clearly we can call down with a king and a 10, because he's going to have way too many bluffs versus the amount of the times he'll have a 4. And if we know that he's never bluffing, and that at the bottom of his value range might be something like king queen and a blue moon, but mostly 4x, then we never have to call there with a king. We don't even have to call there with aces, because there's just no chance we're really going to be ahead. So if you look at that spot, that's why it's so tricky for players, because they say, I don't want to be bluffed here by a flush draw, so I got to call with my king. And you get into spots where you're not really sure what to do on the turn, you're not really sure what to do on the river, and it can get dicey. So if you don't know anything about your opponent, you're going to want to pick some good hands to call with and go from there. And if you know that you're in a game full of opponents who are mostly sort of on the passive side, tend to be sort of more recreational, casual players, limping, not having very strong check raise ranges, or just not having very wide check raise ranges is what I mean, then you can play more exploitatively against them in the case that you can overfold a lot of the time. We can see that that same opponent is on our first table here as well, and he's limped in. We get 30-cent raise. Do we want to raise here? No. Do we want to fold? No. This is going to securely go into our flat calling range. And he actually folds. He limp folds. That's really weird. Wouldn't expect that. A paired board, not an amazing texture. Our opponent can still be betting. I mean, he might just have something like ace-king, but we get counterfeit. And we have a player behind us, so we just have a very clear fold for our hand. And our opponent can still be betting small with a bigger hand. He could still have something like kings or aces here for sure, on the flop anyway. Obviously only 3 combos of kings now. We have another limp from our opponent, and we know that he limp folded here, so I think we're going to go ahead and raise it up because he limp folded before. And there's those kings we talked about. We're going to go ahead and raise it up here with the 10-8 of clubs. We know he has a limp folding range, so might as well try to get a few folds. This is going to go in our continuation bet range. It's a board texture that he might not have a ton of combos of when he does limp and then call. And we have a pretty good blocker here. I don't expect him to fold a king, obviously. I'm kind of hoping that he's going to fold a jack or a 4, but even that is a little bit optimistic. We're just going to check and give up with our 6-7 offsuit. The 9 is not the best card to try to get this guy to fold, just because he'll have a hand like Jack 10 or 9-10 or any of that. And the river card is not great either. We're just going to have to give up here, basically. We're just done with this one. We kind of got screwed in this spot. We're boned. This is actually a pretty reasonable spot to go ahead and bet with our 6. Our opponent can have a jack there. He can have a king. He can have queen 10. He can have pocket 4s. You know, not much we can really do there. I like to double barrel with the open-ended straight draw, but we're just kind of done after that. Somebody could easily have an ace here. We basically bet the turn with our 6-7 offsuit for protection more than anything else, and against a 4. We're basically just done with this hand. So we have a raise. We're going to go ahead and 3-bet here with our pocket 9s. I think with this guy bets 50 cents, we're basically just beat most of the time. We might be overfolding there, but we'll find out. Yeah, we're just beat most of the time. Yeah, whenever it goes limp, raise, we're definitely going to be 3-betting our 9s. And this is a pretty good board texture for us. We at least block 9-10 suited. And, you know, all of his Broadway combos brick, so all of his king queens and all of his ace queens and everything. Relatively decent spot for us for the most part. Doesn't really have a ton of jacks here. We haven't opened into straight draw. He still has a bunch of flush draws. Jack X of clubs obviously roasts us, but we're just going to be going all in, and we're going to fold our 4-7. Unfortunately for us, he has ace-10, which is definitely one of the hands that's going to beat us. So we're going to get roasted for a stack in that spot. And that's going to happen. You know, on the flop, we're basically value betting against a number of combinations, one pair hands, ace highs, etc., etc. And on the turn, we just kind of have a mixed bet where we have enough equity. We're just going to go ahead and bluff ship it in there. And we still sometimes have the best hand. Raise it up with our deuces. Yo, what the hell? I thought I rebought here, folks. I thought I rebought. And if we didn't turn the open-ended straight draw on that spot, you know, there's a world where we definitely just kind of check and give up. But that's not the world for sure. And we're just going to go all in here since we have 53 cents. And he's got top pair as well. So now we get the full rebuy. Can we get the full rebuy? Can we get a full stack back here, man? Can we get a full stack? Take it down with our ace-queen of diamonds. Then we're going to raise it up again with our ace-5 of diamonds. Diamonds everywhere. You're not going to win every hand, guys. Sometimes it doesn't work out, you know? No worries. We have plenty of value bets in that spot. Definitely don't mind having some bluffs that block their straight draw combos, block some of their top pairs that would continue. And we are just going to go ahead and bet here, given the board is paired. We block ace-10. Looks like when you win a hand, they put the little chime in there for you. A little ding, 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 ding. Just not bad. And we're going to fold the 2 clubs. We're going to check the 10-3 offsuit. And also, if you think about it, the 9s are pretty close to getting pretty close to the bottom of my range in that spot, given that I'm not always going to be 3-betting smaller pocket pairs in that exact scenario, given that bad bones could still come back over the top. And a lot of my Broadway combos are just going to get it in. Like, I'm going to definitely shove a 10 on the turn. So, obviously, he would have roasted me there if I had King 10 or Queen 10. But all my Jack X combos are going to be value shoving. I'm going to have a bunch of combo draws with flush draws. And, you know, I'm going to have some of those combos for sure. We have a lot of value bets in that spot. We have all, for the most part, we have all the sets. Or most of the sets. I'm going to see what the smallest one on the board was. But we have a good bit of the sets. And we also have Queens, Kings, Aces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, bunch of 2-pair combos, maybe like 36, 37. I mean, we have a lot of value combos in that spot. And betting the flop is definitely better than checking. So once we get to the jack turn, it's just kind of like check, realize our equity against a passive, straightforward player, or we could protect our hand against flush draws and straight draws, and occasionally we get it in good against an 8. If he doesn't fold, occasionally we make a 10 fold, or occasionally he calls us and beats us, and occasionally he calls with a 10, and then we get there. A lot of stuff could happen. I think on this board texture, I don't mind doing either thing. I think a bet or a check are both reasonable. We're just going to opt to check. I'd rather have the 9 of hearts in my hand for sure. That's going to put up more flush draws. And we're still ahead of a decent amount of his aces. And when he checks there, I think we will check the Jack of Hearts river. He ends up having a king, which we probably could have gotten some value from on the river, but that's okay. We don't have to bet that river. We would have bet a lot of other rivers. We would have bet non-heart rivers for sure. But sometimes people get passive with their flush draws, so they'll bet the flop, and then they'll check the turn once they get called, and go from there. And we're mostly just going to fold our 6-7 offsuit combination. Yeah, so my first bluffs to be shoving in the turn are going to be the highest equity bluffs, which are going to be combo draws, flush draws with an overcard. Only going to be a suited variety. Not really going to have a lot of offsuit. Maybe have like king of clubs, king queen type of a combo. That's going to start there for sure. That's going to be 16 of those. I mean, it might even just be... trying to think. All right, Jack 5 of clubs. Yeah, I might not even have to bluff with pocket nines there. I might have enough flush draws and straight draws to just put all of our bluffs in that spot unless we're moving towards exploitation, and just check the turn and then play straightforwardly. We'll go ahead and limp here with the suited Jack 5. Like playing suited hands in the blinds whenever you get the opportunity to. Certainly going to be limping, getting 5 to 1. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and lead here. R5 is sometimes good. It protects our hand's equity. We don't have any backdoor flush draws. They can have a pretty wide range. Yes, it sucks whenever they have a 10. Then he raises us, which, you know, of course, if he has something like pocket 10s, is pretty bad for us. We're just going to go ahead and call, see if we can hit a 5 or a jack. Maybe we get an opportunity to bluff the flush if he checks back the turn. And now I think we can probably value bet against a hand like ace 10 or queen 10. Maybe as a king sometimes. Looks like we're just getting a fold, though. 10 jack offsuit's going to be a fold. I like these tables. These tables are festive. I like it. But yeah, I'd have to go back through and do the rest of the value. We're probably not getting better than like 50 some value combos there. And we're going to go ahead and re-raise with our ace queen. Limp it up, isolate. We 3-bet. We'll get the fold this time. I mean, his play in the ace-10 hand is obviously pretty standard. Like, he calls pre-flop with his suited ace, and then he flops top pair, top kicker. He calls a flop. He calls the turn. Definitely going to be pretty standard on his part. We may have been over-bluffing in that case, but it'll be pretty close. All right, raise it up with our pocket 4s. Come on, dude, you can do this. I know you can. I have faith in you. I like what they've done with the place. It's nice. Ace jack offsuit, certainly going to be a raise here. We have one big blind as the other dude bounced the hell out. Usually there's a little bit of chat kicking in the chat these days. There's nothing going on here. Usually the guys in these games are chat. We have a fair spot to continuation bet. Jack of diamonds as well. Take that down real easy, real quick, real smooth. Deuce 7 offsuit, straight up to the folding range. Alright, we'll just check the big blind with our 10-7 offsuit. And we flop a remedial hand with a bad open and a straight draw and a bad flush draw. And we're basically just looking for check. Hit the king of hearts on the turn. Alright, there's check. Look at that other check. Yes, there's the king of hearts on the turn. Yeah? Oh, that is magical. Alright, what else can I get? What else can I get? I mean, it's just going to be a bunch of 2 pairs and a bunch of spades. And now I'll just check the river since their spades are bigger than ours. And we're just going to lose on this river. We're probably just check folding. I mean, they're just teasing me, you know? Like, what's that all about? How the hell is the 3 of spades going to win there? Well, I wouldn't assume that we're ahead of both players, and I wouldn't assume that when it goes bet call that we ever have the best hand, but somehow we would have had the best hand in that spot. I still don't suggest calling there. I think that folding is the correct play, and I think that looking at these scenarios and making the best play is more important than the results of the hand. So like for the 9s hand, maybe I'm over bluffing a little bit on the turn and I need to dial it back a bit, depending on how many exact value combos I have in that spot. But nonetheless, a relatively high equity bluff versus top pair, and maybe top pair folds some frequency. We're not entirely sure. Not a lot of ways for me to get the showdown here, so we're just going to bounce with our bottom pair. And then over here, we have a turn card, which was good. We get our straight, call out the king of hearts no less, and then we get the spade on the river. And you have to assume that even though they can call with 2 pairs and whatnot, they're not necessarily going to bet those on the river, and they have a lot of spades to call in that spot with. Yes, there's a couple of bigger spades out there, but it's pretty difficult when it goes bet call for us to have the best hand, just over calling with the 7 of spades. So I still think that the correct play there is just to fold. Unfortunately for us, we would have won this specific hand because dude was value betting the 3 of spades somehow. Somehow, some way. But that's okay. That's okay. Results are irrelevant. Your decisions are what will dictate your results in the long term. So let's say I look at my range in that spot with the pocket 9s and the 3-bet pot, and I say, all right, well, I'm over bluffing in this spot by a few combos, and I need to dial that back. That's good for me. That's good for me to note because I just learned, hey, I'm probably over bluffing in this spot, even though this looks like a good combo. If I have enough flush draws and I have enough straight draws, since we're not going for triple barrels here, we're just double barreling all in, so it makes more sense to be bluffing with a flush draw than if you were triple barreling. If you were triple barreling, you wouldn't be bluffing with a flush draw unless it was a backdoor flush draw, because then you would be blocking partial folding combinations that they would have for call folding. So the fact that we're dealing with a 2-barrel scenario and not a 3-barrel scenario is going to affect the combinations as well. But I will be basically jamming in everything else. And there's a value. I don't know if I have queen 9 suited as well. I'd have to do exactly the math, but it's going to be close. But either way, going back through and making sure and just, you know, being hands-on with it. Like, I'm not severely over bluffing there, shoving the 9s. It's open into straight draw, and sometimes the set's good. And we don't know that our opponent wouldn't have been exploited by that. I mean, I'm assuming that they're not going to be folding a 10 there that frequently. Raising it up with pocket 6s. And we have a pretty bad board texture. Not one I'm interested in c-betting. We do block some continues with 6-7 suited, but we don't have any hearts. We're not blocking any of their Broadway gut shots, and you just kind of want to check fold this board. We're out of position. Pretty difficult to navigate through the hand to get to a showdown or to bluff him off something other than a gut shot, and this would be one of our lower equity hands that we'd be double barreling with. Not super excited about it. But yeah, oftentimes it takes such a large sample of playing against a specific person to get what they're... I mean, obviously you're going to have some casual players who show you their leaks very easily, but when you're playing against another reg, and the reg seems to be playing relatively balanced poker, or it seems like they're trying to anyway, it's a bit more difficult to figure out what your exploitation plays are going to be, just because you have to wait until you see something that you know that you're going to be able to exploit, and then you have to find the spots to actually exploit those things. So it's definitely a more difficult process than just, oh, I'm just going to exploit this guy. We're going to raise it up with King Jack of Hearts. We have a flurry of folds, a fluttering of folds behind us. We're just going to fold 6-7 offsuit in the big blind versus the isolation raise. We do 3-bet that guy quite a bit. Looks like Bad Bones has had enough. He's raising. He says, the hell with this. I'm not playing your reindeer games anymore. I think this guy wants to go all in a lot, and it's the holiday season, so I don't suggest that you guys call here. He just went all in last hand, and I'm kind of assuming that he'll go all in with all kinds of random shit, maybe ace-4 even. So we're just going to call. Unfortunately for us, he has ace-jack, but I was definitely on point with him having a very wide range for shoveling, so I don't feel bad about the old holiday call here with king-jack for 30 big blinds. And again, you guys don't want to try that at home. I don't suggest doing that, but kind of get the inkling that the guy's going all in with too many hands if he's going to do it twice in a row like that. And you know, unfortunately, we're dominated. Even if he has ace queen, I'd be okay with that. The fact that he has us completely dominated sucks. We went all in for $3 for the holiday season, but no, you guys should just fold there. Generally, the king high doesn't play very well. But I don't know, you know, sometimes you get a guy and he's just trying to get home to his kids and his wife, you know, and he doesn't want to play anymore. He did timeout before, maybe he's got to go. I don't know. King Jack suited, really, it's not that bad of a hand. Pocket pairs, we're flipping. If he's got some worse kings, that'd be great. If he has some low kicker aces, it's not the worst. But again, The correct play there was clearly just a fold. I'm just kind of donking around for you guys. Good to raise it up with the old 10-jack. Club variety. And not much we're going to be doing three-way here. Well, actually, we just limped it. And we're just going to check fold. We're going to raise it up with pocket sevens, though. Something nice could happen here. And we've got pocket tens. We're going to go ahead and isolate. Looks like we're going to take it down with our pocket sevens. And we're going to raise it up with 6-5 of diamonds. This is not a great board texture. We're not going to get them to fold a king or a queen. Checking back makes the most sense here. Not really too many worlds where we want to continuation bet this board against casual bro. If he checks again, we'll definitely bet. But that's about it. We are blocking a bunch of bluffs here, so we're not going to really be bluff catching. Definitely going to be betting to protect our equity here, as a queen is not a good card for us. Neither is a jack, nor an ace, nor a diamond. We're not happy seeing a lot of stuff there. We're going to go ahead to fold the 10-7. We're mostly going to be folding 3-5. We're going to fold 7-8 on the button. You can certainly raise that. We do a mixed strategy there. Raise sometimes, we fold sometimes. King 10 of spades, we are going to be raising it up. If this guy raises, we're going to be flat calling or 3-betting. And we have an overcard and a backdoor spade draw. Pretty good spot for us to continuation bet. Relatively dry board texture. We get that little chime. Ching! Not much else going on here, guys. We would have had a little something with our 3-6 of hearts. If we raise that, we definitely would have continuation bet that board texture, and that's a perfect card to double barrel with the old 12-out draw. And it looks like we would have bricked, and we probably would have triple barreled anyway in the hopes of folding them off of everything that is an ace-x plus. Although when they do call twice with an ace, they're not very often going to fold it on the river, so you could say that we don't need to really have that as a balanced bluff and we just check and get the hell out of dodge or whatever. It appears that the daily $500 bonanza has been completed. See 50 flops in any ring game on the side here. Let me know. Nice, nice, nice. Not bad. So yeah, man, when you guys play on Global Poker, they have all kinds of cool tournaments and things that you can unlock playing cash games on here. So it's certainly a unique feature, kind of cool, because the only people that are in there are the ones who have ground out the way to get to it. And I am assuming that most people skip it. I'm assuming that they're really soft, because there's only there have to be very few people that are just grinding out the ability to play them and then also playing them. We're going to go ahead and isolate with our pocket sevens versus the limper. And the limp call, relatively dry board texture, definitely a continuation bet for us. I like something around 30 cents here. And we'll take that pot down. If we got check raised, we'd probably put this in our folding range. There's going to be better combinations for us to bluff catch with. We might be limping it in here. He gets isolated. That guy loves isolating, so we do like 3-betting him a lot. But not an opportunity to do so here. We're going to play this ace-deuce hand and wrap this video, guys. We're going to wrap this video up, and then I'll be back with a few more videos at some point in time in the near future. All right, thanks for joining me today, guys. Hope you guys learned a little something. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video. We're just going to fold this 8-4 down the drain, man. Later on, guys.